It's Charge Talks with Jan. Turning brokenness into ministries and stories into stepping stones, overcoming mountains and walking through valleys. It's Charge Talks with Jan. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Jan, and it is another beautiful day. It is another amazing day, and of course, it is another incredible day. It is a day to do awesome things, a day to do phenomenal things, and a day to just live an awesome life. So I'm so thankful for you guys coming back to my channel. Of course, please remember, if you have not yet done so, please subscribe to get the incredible content. Hit the notification bell and please give the video a thumbs up. So I am so grateful that you guys have made it back for another day of motivation, inspiration, and just some good vibes all rolled into one. So today we're going to be talking about the fact that trusting his no is better than his yes. And what on earth am I talking about? Trusting God's no is better at times than trusting his yes. And a lot of times I have said to myself, how could God say no? Like, this sounds like a situation where yes would have been the appropriate answer. But God looks way beyond. He sees the finish line, and all he sees just 3 little meters in front of us, 3 behind, 3 to the left, 3 to the right. That's all we see. But God, he sees every single thing. And so he says to me, no, Jan, no, this is not good for you. Let's take, for example, a relationship. I may meet this guy and everything is vibing and we're clicking and we seem to be having a great time and everything just seems to be going perfect. But when I ask God about it, he says, nope, red. And I'm like, but God, he's everything that I could ever want. He says, no. And I'm thinking to myself, how on earth could God say no? But he says, listen, I say no either because it's no ultimately no, or it's not time as yet. And a lot of times, even as parents or caregivers, we say no to our children. And it's not because we want to hurt them. It's not because we want to, make them uncomfortable or unhappy. But it's because telling them no is better for them than telling them yes. Take, for example, a child, a child who is 10 years old and wants to drive his father's Range Rover. And the father says, no, son, you can't drive it as yet. You're not old enough. But he's like, Daddy, but my other friends are driving it. And my other friends are doing this. But your other friends are not you. So even though your friends may be driving their parents' Porsche or Lamborghini or whatever it is, or a bus or whatever it is not good for you as yet. And so when you look and you give this person this Range Rover at 10 years old and they go out on the road and they have an accident and that child ends up in the hospital with some serious injuries, and you're there with your hands on your head and you're like, oh my God, if I had only said no, if I had only said no, if I had only said no. But the thing is, we want so much to please those around us and our children and our spouses that we tell them yes, even though when we know that a no is better for them. And so for me, God doesn't have to sugarcoat it. If I go to him with a relationship and I say, God, what do you think about this guy? And he holds up red. If I go ahead and go to green when he said red and I get into trouble, oh, I'm on my own. But the beautiful thing about it is that even though I'm on my own, God still doesn't leave me all alone. And throughout the experiences, throughout the times, it is absolutely better to trust God's no, far better than his yes. I've gotten so many no's from the Lord as it seems to relationships, because I always seem to, I don't know, talk to the bad guys or be attracted to those kind of guys. But he's like, nah, that's not the person I have for you. So I say, you know what? I'm just going to friend zone all y'all and just let it be, because I have to understand now that when God says no, it's not because the person is not right or the person is not, good, a good person. It's because that person is not right for me right now or probably never, or the person is not good for me now or probably never. So I have to trust that, because when I can see just a smile or see just the no, God sees everything. God sees what he's going to do 3 months down the road. He sees what he's going to do 3 years down the road. He sees what's going to happen. He sees how many times he's going to break my heart. He sees how many times he's going to lie, cheat, and steal. He sees all them times. And all I have to do is to trust God's no. So many times we go to God with business ideas, and so many times we ask the Lord, should I go ahead with this? But the Lord says no. I remember in the Bible where David would want to go to war with other countries and kings, and the Lord, when he said, Lord, should I inquire? And the Lord said, no. David did not pursue them. No, he obeyed what the Lord said. And I remember when they came in and they invaded Ziklag and they took their wives and children, and David came back and David said, Lord, should I pursue them? And the Lord says, yes, pursue, because you will overtake them and get back what they stole, what they took. And when David did that, he recovered his wives and children, and not just his own, but the men who were with him. And so it is imperative that we trust the no's of the Lord just as much as we would want to trust his yes. Because even though it looks daunting presently and we're like, oh my God, but God, you don't understand. I love him and I feel this way and butterflies in my heart, and my heart go budadum budadum when I see him or her. We don't see what's down the road. We don't see if he's just toying or she's just toying. We don't see all that. We get in all these feelings and we allow our emotions to take full control of us. And so we're not thinking logically. We're not thinking spiritually. When something happens and your feelings get in the way, I don't know about anybody else, but all spirituality, all spiritual thinking goes out the window. And it's just my emotions that is driving me and leading me. And so we have to be so careful that we don't end up in a situation where we allow God's no to sit in the back and we grab onto the yes and move forward. And then when we drive all the way down to the road and we realize that there is no more road, all there is a cliff. And we try to reverse, but there are bunches of cars behind us because somebody disobeyed the stop sign and they continued driving. Another person started driving behind them. Oh yes, baby. There are always going to be persons coming behind you because they're saying, if you do it, that means it's okay. If you can disobey God, that means it's okay. I can do too. But when you get to the end and you realize that there are no more road, it's only a cliff. You have all these cars back lined up behind you. You can't reverse. You have to stand there. You have to sit there and wait until everybody behind you reverse. And you sit in this position. And then we ask the most obvious question. God, didn't you see me going down that road? Oh, yes, he did. He saw me. But he sat there and he allowed me to experience because I didn't trust his no. And I want to say that I've experienced it so many times. I've experienced it. And I want to say to other young girls or other young men, trust God's no. And not just in relationship, but in business, in school, in whatever venture you're going into. Trust God's no. Because a lot of times his no's are much better than his yes. And it is imperative that we believe him and that we allow him to direct us and drive us, not our emotions, because they're just going to tell you, oh, he looks fine. And he looks like a tall glass of water and I am thirsty. Girl, do you see his pecs? Like, seriously? Whoo, hot. Yeah. But there are more important things than his eyes, his nose, his lips, his muscles, his chest. What about his heart? What about his relationship with God? What about who he sees when he looks at you? Not your body, but who? Not what, but who? Where do you see you guys? There are so many things that we have to think about. And the beautiful thing is, God thinks about those things, even when we do not. So today, I encourage you, trust His no far better than if He gave you a yes. Have a blissful time and let God continue to do beautiful things in your life. Bye. It's Charge Talks with Jan. Turning brokenness into ministries and stories into stepping stones